Hello, let me tell you something awesome if you want to start a podcast and you don't have the funds to do so. And if you haven't heard of Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And even it has everything you need in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Easy to use. If I can use it, anybody can use it. Also, when hosting on Anchor, you get to distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, and which is something you don't have to do nothing. Anchor does everything for you. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place, and best of all, Anchor is totally free. Check it out right now. Start a podcast. I cannot wait to hear you speak. Hello, welcome to Truck Stopper and True Crime Podcast. I am your host, Gary Howard. How's everybody doing? Hopefully well. I'm going to start putting these things out. These episodes, not things, episodes out on Fridays. I'm going to try to get really involved in my podcast. Since going to the 2022 True Crime Podcast Festival really gave me a new, you know, what should I say? A new, highly more interested in this. I always been interested in it, but I got into a slump after I didn't get the job at the Maliski, but I'll stop talking about that. But I think I'm really going to dive deep into this. So, anyhow, if you're a return listener, thank you. But this is going to be a little different. This is going to be more of about missing people instead, or missing unknown people, which I'm going to start putting on Fridays. And of course, we'll still have our regular truck stop murder on Wednesdays, and I'm going to start doing murder Mondays again. Now, this is all what I anticipate on doing and plan on doing, but being a truck driver, working 14 hours a day, it don't always work out the way I plan. But I'm gonna be doing the truck stop. I talked about just maybe doing the case, but my wife got mad at me. Said, "No, you still have to do the truck stop. That's what makes your podcast different from the rest of them." So I'll talk about the truck stops that I'm currently at right now. By the way, please rate and review anywhere you listen to this. I know a lot of people say Apple iTunes is the place to be. You get more listens, more notoriety from that. Rate and review on there. Also, join my Facebook group. And if you want to support me, if you do like what I do, you always have patreon.com/truckstopmurder. All right, but let's talk about where I'm at. Right now, I'm at Sap Brothers Travel Center. Now, I used to love coming to this place. I mean, the truck stop itself is nice, but there's a hotel right beyond this place. They had a bar in it that opened up at 5 p.m. that I always thought the bartender looked like Betty White. Really super friendly. Matter of fact, she was telling me one time about how she had a boyfriend that she did not want him to live there. Keep in mind, this woman's like 98, Betty White. And the way she says, no way. You know, if I want him over, he'll come over. If I want him to leave, I'll say, get. You push with her thumb out of here. But I guess the place started going deteriorating real bad, and owner of the hotel did not want to put no money in it, so the bar closed as well. But yeah, Sap Brothers. I'm in Clarefield. Is on Clarefield Highway, exit 120 along I-80. If you want to know the address, is Clarefield Shawnee Highway, exit 120. The actual address is 15196 Clarefield, Shawville Highway, Clarefield, Pennsylvania. Zip code 16830. And so there you have it. Now, as for food, they do have a dining restaurant here called Aunt Lou's Cafe. That's what it's called. But if you want more than that, but I don't think anymore. They have like a buffet that you can eat off, like just a country buffet type thing. And they do have really good fried chicken here. I always get the fried chicken when I stop. But on the reviews I see, I might have to get me something else. In the reviews of this place, so far it's. Let me go back to the truck stop because I need more information about the truck stop. It has, according to Trucker's Path, it has a 352 reviews. It has a 4.4 star rating. Has 100 spots on the free spots, but none of them really marked. People just kind of make up their spots as they go. It does have showers, overnight parking, of course, Wi-Fi, and a scale, not a cat scale, but it does have a scale. And there is a tattoo parlor here as well. I've never seen it open, a tattoo piercing. So if you're here for a reset, got some money, want to do a tattoo, go check them out. I don't know how well they do. I haven't seen nobody, but yeah. As for the food, it does have a cafe. So let's talk about what people think about this place. They said there's one dude he really loves it. He gave it a 5 stars. So wish I could give this a 10 star. Street restaurant is awesome. The people who work here are super friendly and helpful. Another 5 star. Lots of parking. Food was great. Burnt ends on point. And here's one of my jalapeno burger. Great as well. 10 out of 10. So yeah, and as I'm scrolling through, here's one. Just as a 4 star. Looks promising. But as I scrolled, here's one. But this idiot gave it a 1 star because he's update parking please. He was requesting to see if anybody knew there's parking, but now he wants to give it a 1 star. Okay. 2 star review from Ass Kicker. Didn't try the food, but always park here. The parking lot smells like a urinal, like a urinal lazy driver's SMH. Okay. And 1 star. See, this is what I understand. These people are giving it a 1 star review to ask questions. Why not just go ahead and give it the 5 star, then ask the question? 1 star beer here. No, it's Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania does have some weird beer laws. You're only allowed to buy a certain amount of booze at a certain time. Like I went across the highway and bought a 12 pack, but then I saw they had Fireball there, so I thought, let me buy that. They said, nope, you exceeded your limit. Okay, two more 1 star reviews, and I'll move on. One says, lot is a joke. There's trucks everywhere. You can't follow any path to an exit. Once you enter the parking lot, don't come here tonight. 124, January 24th, 2022. Yeah, like I said, there is routes in and out. I don't know what this guy's talking about. But yeah, it does get kind of packed. But since the parking lot really is not marked, people just park anywhere. And the last one. You know what? No way I will ever eat at this place until they get cooks that know how to make food correctly. Well, clearly this guy is an idiot. Correctly, what's correctly? Everybody else seems to love this place. He probably just had bad service or he was an asshole. Okay, I'm gonna leave on a good note. 5 stars. Don't rate a place a 1 star because it didn't have power. Don't be a moron. Shit happens. Yeah, being here in Pennsylvania, yeah, shit happens. One time I was here, the roads were pretty icy, so the police had shut DOT shut it down. So me and this place was I couldn't leave, not because people were parked crazy, because nobody could leave. The roads were icy. DOT was ticketing everybody, so we just packed in. But as soon as DOT opened up the roads, everybody dispatched and was gone. So there was a way out. But I was here for like 3 days. Well, let's go on to the case I'm gonna cover, which is not a murder. Well, it is a murder, but there's no. This is unsolved. I'm gonna start doing these on Friday. Unsolved, missing, and unidentified. So if this is what you like to hear about and maybe help solve these unknown things or identify people, well then here we go. Today I want to discuss Nicholas Grassmyer, which is one of the things that me and my wife were talking about. How certain cases get noticed and some don't. Think she called it the white girl syndrome. Unless you're a white girl with money or whatever, people just don't pay attention, and there's no difference. This is a white male, but I could not find nothing. I looked on newspaper.com. I could now he is on Find the Grave, but I could not find nothing on in newspaper.com had his obituary, but that's it. And nobody did has done any podcasts on him, no videos, no nothing. I actually found him on the app I've been using called Crime Doors. And so let's talk about Nicholas Grassmyer. Nicholas Grassmyer never came home on the night of September 10th, 1977. Grassmyer, a 16-year-old junior at Bellwood, Pennsylvania, Antis Area High School, had played for the school's football team the night before and then went to visit his girlfriend. He called his parents from her house just after midnight to tell them that he was going to walk home. At 5 a.m., Grassmyer's father woke to find his wife sitting on the kitchen table because their son had not come home. After checking with his girlfriend, the Grassmyers searched for their son on a route that he would have walked, Route 865 to Route 220. Then they found nothing. They called the police. Soon, officers' family, Nicholas' teammates were out searching for him. 2 days later, joggers at Janesville Pike happened upon Nicholas' body. It was off Route 859, 6 miles from the house. He died from a fractured skull, and a coroner ruled his death a homicide. But there was no leads in the case, which until this day, like I said, it still remains unsolved. Now, if you go to the app that I've been using for this is Crime Doors. They did have a few news clippings of this when it occurred in '77. But other than that, I know I said I didn't find nothing, but I did find. You can find photos and everything, which I will update, which I have not done in a while. Update episodes with photos on social media. But as soon as I get done recording this, I will backtrack and do everything that I've missed. But here are some of the news articles. There's only two that talk about the disappearance and murder of Nicholas Grassmyer. I wish I could find more, but these are only two I could find. And the first one is
in a special report last night, we told you about the unsolved murder of a local teenager.
And Nicholas Grassmyer, who lived in Bellwood, was killed in 1977. More than 4 decades later, his family's still looking for answers. Charlotte Ames has more on what's known about the case.
The evening of September 10, 1977, started out great for 16-year-old Nick Grassmyer, a football player at Bellwood Antis High School. His team, the Blue Devils, beat their rivals, the Tyrone Golden Eagles.
And he came down to the house after the game and bummed $1 so he could go to the dance after the football game.
After the dance, he went to his girlfriend's house, calling after midnight to say he'd walked the short distance home. They discovered the next morning that Nick hadn't come home. They retraced what would have been his route home, Route 865 out of Bellwood, and left onto Route 220. When they found no sign of Nick, they called police.
They thought he'd run away or maybe was at another friend's house, and I said no, that wasn't so.
Police and the rest of the community joined the search for Nick. Shortly after 1 p.m. on Sunday, 2 people jogging noticed a body down an embankment along Route 859, about 5 miles from his home. An autopsy showed Nick died of a fractured skull, and the death was ruled a homicide. 42 years later, his family doesn't know much more than that, and they're frustrated.
They found him on the Janesville Pike, so the police chief who was in charge out of Holliesburg at the time, I can't recall his name, decided that somebody up the mountain done it. So they went up there door to door and investigated up there for the first few weeks, and that was the wrong place, I think.
Bob thinks state police should have focused on Bellwood and Tyrone. His son, Bob, Nick's half-brother, believes somebody knows something about what happened.
Some say he might have been hit by a car in an accident. People were afraid to come forward. You always hear a lot of the same names.
Now someone from another generation of Grassmyers, his daughter Ariana, has joined the search.
I have spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people. You know, anyone who will listen, anyone who has anything to say.
She's been doing her own investigating and keeping a record of what she's found, but she hasn't found answers.
You hear different rumors over the years and such, and I have endless rumors. I have a whole book filled with rumors, but at the end of the day, rumors don't mean anything until we know the truth.
Her grandfather says state police used to check in with him, but he hasn't heard anything from them since 2007.
I call down there about once a year, twice a year, and they keep telling me they'll return my call, but they never do.
He often visits Nick's grave. His son is buried next to his mother, who died in 1994.
I mean, his mother died not knowing, and I'd like to know before I died.
Charlotte Ames, WTAJ News.
Now, we were unable to locate any police officers who worked on the Grassmyer case 42 years ago. It's now in the cold case file. That's State Police in Hollidaysburg. A trooper tells us they update it once a year unless new information comes up. If you have any information, contact State Police in Hollidaysburg.
No, I know I said there was two of them, but really the second one is just pretty much repeating what the first one said. This is just a different news, channel. But yeah, and then here's on the coke. Like I said, it quickly became a cold case. Now the woman, his Christopher, let me see, Nicholas, his brother right there, half brother, not his niece, actually did has a website out called Who Murdered Nicholas Grassmyer .weebly.com. That is WHOM. Let me start from the beginning. It's Who Murdered Nicholas Grassmyer .weebly.com. That is WHOMURDENICHOLASGRASSMYER .weebly.com. Now I'm spelling it out because I've been told I have an accent from a lot of people, and people always ask me where am I from. If you have an idea, do I have an accent? I'm curious. I was born in Chicago and moved to Texas in '95, but I was in the military for 9 years, and maybe just I don't know. I don't hear it, but according to a lot of people, I sound Eastern Europe. I don't know, but yeah, here's an article that came out in May. It was posted May 15th, 2019, and was updated September 3rd, 2019. So this is 3 years ago. So this has been cold for 45 years. So let's read it. It's been 42 years, 45 years now, but 42 of this. It was WTAJ. And it's 42 years since local high school football player went missing after a big Friday night game. The community was shocked when his body was discovered. His death ruled a homicide. The killer or killers of Nicholas Grassmyer have never been caught. One person I still come down. I still plant flowers every year, says Nick's father, Bob, as he stands at the gravesite at Logan Valley Cemetery, which I will give the information to find a grave if you want to go pay respects, give a flower. Looking at the marker, Bob says, we picked out because he liked sports. He played football. In fact, played football the last night he lived, and he played baseball. Nick was only 16 years old, a junior at the Bellwood Antis Area High School. The night he played halfback in a victorious game over Tyrone. Then he went to visit his girlfriend, calling his parents a little after midnight, saying he'd walk a short distance home. But the next morning, Bob says, I woke up about 5 o'clock in that morning, and his wife was sitting at the table and asked her what was the matter. She said Nick hadn't come home yet. So let me tell you one thing about these episodes. There's going to be a lot of repetitive things, but I want to read and go over all the information I can find, and I don't want to miss nothing out. To also, like I said, might be repetitive in some places, but when it comes to situations like this, unsolved, unnamed people, I don't think there's such a thing as repetitive. The more we know, the better we could help find, get closure to these. But yeah, the next morning, after learning Nick wasn't at his girlfriend's house, they headed down Route 865 out of Bellwood and toward Route 220, the path Nick would have walked. They found no sign of him and called the police to join the search. So we couldn't find him, and I called some of my relatives, nieces, nephews, and brothers, and we all started looking for him. He wasn't the type that would just run away or go away without telling, Bob remembers, his father. The football team, the fire company, and the entire community came to help, but they still could not find him. I think it was Sunday. There was some joggers jogging in Janesville Pike up near the reservoir above Tyrone, and they saw him laying down over the bank, and they called the police, his father said. Nick's body was found on Route 859 out of Bellwood, about 6 miles from his home. His cousin identified him, but that wasn't good enough for Bob, who insisted going to the scene himself. And that's when he was able to identify him. The autopsy determined that Nick died of a fractured skull, and the coroner ruled that the death was a homicide. So, and it is unsolved till today. So, what do you all think? What do you think happened to him? I know I thought of the crazy. Maybe he was walking home, and I've had this happen to me when I'm walking home late at night. You get these idiots that just drive by and just like to throw stuff at people on the side of the road. When I used to ride bikes all the time, I got hit by many cans and bottles and stuff like that. Maybe something happened where it was serious and somebody drove by and hit him with an object that killed him. And then, being scared, they dumped the body. Or the craziest part of it all, and I laughed, but there's nothing funny about this. But maybe somebody, jealous of losing the football team, the rival football team, saw him and wanted to was not happy of the outcome of the football game. So what do y'all think? I'd like to hear your comments in my social media. Like I said, truck stop murder. But like I said, back to his niece, his half brother's daughter. She did the website, and there's also, you could go there, you could sign in, which I have done already. A survey, a little thing about Nick, and she wrote something that I found really touching. Here it is. The death of innocent person always a tragedy, but when the person is only a child, it is devastating. The family is crushed. Anyone who knew the person has to try to learn to live over again. Years later, live. Let me go back. The person has to try to learn to live all over again. Years later, when the child would have grown up, the entire family hurts every day, thinking of how much their lives changed. Brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, parents, each life was forever changed the moment they got the call about their child would never come home. Now they should. Now they should have children and nieces and nephews, but they never got a chance to have a life. When is a murder you never get over? When is when it is a murder you never get over that? The fact that some human being could slaughter someone so innocent is just so wrong. The only silver lining is knowing that the person who did it will never be able to do something so horrid ever again. But it all crashes down when the case turns cold. The police say he never stopped looking for the killer, but they eventually have no leads and nothing to go on. Years and years later, there is nothing they can do. All you can hope to do, all you can hope is to get the case investigated with better technology. This is what my family went went and experienced after the death of my uncle, Nicholas Grassmyer. He was 16. The monster who took him was never caught. Now, over 30 years later, he is still free, while the innocent boy never got to meet any of his nieces or have have his own family. He never saw his parents grow old, and his brother have a family. His case needs solved because there is no justice for Nicky. And if you want to read this and not just hear me muffle through it, but yeah, there's a survey we could talk about. If you knew him or you have any kind of information, you could probably put it right there. And Nicholas, yeah, let's talk about Nicholas Corn's page. He was a normal, fun-loving 16-year-old boy. He had one older brother and a mother and father. He went to a concert with his brother and saw Nazareth, which that would be cool to see. Keep in mind this was the 70s, so but then again, Hair of the Dog. There you go. I would like to see that. And he was on the football team, and he loved it. He had a girlfriend he would see often. He lived a short life, but he enjoyed every minute of it. But yeah, go there and check it out. Sign in, let them know. But if you want to go visit Nicholas Grassmyer's grave, you can find him on Find the Grave. He was born March 16th, 1961. His death September 10th, 1977 at age 16. He is at Logan Valley Cemetery in Bellwood, Pennsylvania. And like I it was said earlier, Marianne in the news article, his mom passed away, never got to see justice for her son. She passed away in 1994 of cancer. It was said that her final day, all she would do was stare at the wall. But maybe it was like a spiritual presence. Maybe she saw, him there welcoming her. You know, I missed you, Mama. I don't know. But yeah, this is something I'm going to try to do every Friday. I'm going to start putting them out. I'm going to put out when I stop at truck stops. I'm going to talk about the truck stop I'm currently at. I'm going to look for uh, missing, unsolved, or Jane or Doe case. I'm not going to say Jane or John Doe. Jane and John Doe case. I'm going to call it a Doe case. I'm going to do that. Whatever's nearby. And all information I get from these are from Crime Doors. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. There's all kinds of cool things. You never know what's around where you live at. Okay, there's the unsolved case of Nicholas Grassmyer. If you like to tell that story, please rate and review anywhere you listen to your podcast. But most of all, let's try to figure this out. Who killed this poor boy at his young age of 16 years old. 16. So go to the page. I'll put all the notes in my description of that website, or you could rate and review. Or like I said, if you like this, please just me telling the story of it, maybe putting light on the subject. Please rate and review on Apple iTunes, anywhere you listen to podcasts, or also join my Facebook group, Truck Stop Murder True Crime, at Twitter at Truck Murder, Instagram at Truck Stop Murder. But you could also email me at truckstopmurder@gmail.com if you want to call me an asshole, whatever you might want to do. But all right, y'all take care and stay safe. I'm out of here.